Thanks for staying with us. It's still COVID-19 Watch on Africa Independent Television. And let's bring you this breaking news that the National Association of Resident Doctors have formally announced suspension of their one-week-old strike with effect from Monday, June 22nd. And that's the report we are getting now. National Association of Resident Doctors have formally announced suspension of their strike with effect from Monday, the 22nd of June. And let's tell you, there was a running controversy over the matter last night when the Nigeria Governors Forum announced that the resident doctors have suspended the strike, but then their spokesperson reached out to AIT saying the formal announcement has not been made, and we must wait for that announcement by the association. And that is what we are reporting now. That announcement has formally been made by the National Association of Resident Doctors. The strike has been called off with effect from tomorrow. So all the public hospitals we expect that will resume normal health services, and there's no threat anymore that doctors, resident doctors serving at the COVID-19 treatment centers will withdraw their services. And I have two gentlemen in the studio this morning. I'm sure it's good news for all of us. On my immediate right is the national president of the Joint Head Workers Union, JOHESU, Josiah Biobelemoye. I struggled to get this, and thank God I'm meeting one, or you will teach me how to pronounce it today. Thank you very much, President, for joining us this morning. We also have the former president of the National Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Jerry Oguze. Thank you very much. Did you lead a strike when you were the president? Was there a strike when you were president of the
Yes,
resident?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm sure you must have known what the president and the leadership has gone through, because at some point it was difficult to get the resident doctor's president. His phones were switched off. Yeah. You call him and not respond. You know, and you know that almost everybody in the country is calling him. Now we have the news that they've called off the strike. What would be your first reaction?
Well, my first reaction would be that it's a piece of good news. Because no doctor wants to go on strike. We are trained to save lives. And we even give our lives in saving lives. So every doctor wants to do the best he can for his patient. So it's a good news for me. It is a good news. Though at the end, we'll know if the issues have been met or not.
Exactly, because it's not calling off the strike, it's suspension. And when the strike is suspended, it means there's every possibility. In fact, when it's resuming, if there's any need for it to resume, there will be no notice, you know, as it were. The JOHESU president, the attention will go to your association now, because most times, like we've known, if resident doctors or medical association goes on strike, once they are calling off, JOHESU is ready to go for their own strike. And we read your love note to the president, to the federal government, was it last week, about your threat for strike. Can you put us through this? Because I also know that the federal government has released money to pay the review in the hazard allowance, which your members are also supposed to benefit. Are there other issues that have not been addressed that your association is still angry about?
Very well, but before I go there, I want to also join my brother here to also appreciate that the suspension of the strike is a piece of good news. It's heartwarming because it means that lives that would have been, you know, exposed to some form of danger would be curtailed now. That danger will be curtailed. As to whether we are also warming up to dance, let me use that word. Well, we have never been known to be strike mongers at any time. Since I became national president of my union, I'm the national chairman of the JOHESU. I have that's about 5 years now, but I have ordered one warning strike, and one full-fledged strike. So, and it's not usually it might be a coincidence perhaps, but it's not usually when they finish, then we start, or we finish and they start. Now, coming to whether the letter we wrote, you see, we as leaders, most times, even when we are trying our best not to engage or involve ourselves in strike activities, the government is always pushing us. Government does the pushing. Even when we resist, government will push us until we take that step that we do not want to take. One of the reasons why JOHESU is not so quick to strike is because we feel that the public hospitals are the only hospitals that the mass of Nigerians can go and get, let's say, near affordable health care.
Especially with NHIS.
So with all that, even without NHIS, even when you are paying from your pocket, the public hospitals are the cheapest. So, and if we now close these places down, the effect on the masses is what we are always looking at. That's why we are not quick at embarking on strike as a national issue. That does not mean we have not been provoked or we do not have issues. For instance, as I tell you, just like the ARD, I won't also say that they are trigger happy with strike, but like I said, government pushes everybody. You can recall that some of the things they are arguing are years back. For us, there are some that are very many years way back before even theirs. So you can see that if they are angry, then we should be hyper angry. So, but like the letter we wrote, we met with government. This is COVID-19 period. It's a delicate period. We all understand. And we wanted a situation where government will also show some high level of understanding. So, and we were patient. So we tried to write to government as to what and what should be done. But government pleaded. For instance, why I say government push us. Government pleaded with us that, oh, you see the economy, no money, and again, COVID-19 is here, so please let us focus on the issues of COVID. Post-COVID, we will now attend to these things you are raising. Then, that was even on the 21st of April, I engaged the Minister of Labour. He told me, he pleaded with me that way. Then on the 8th, we also met with them.
8th of May.
8th of June.
June, okay.
They also made same plea. But I think about 24 hours or 48 hours thereafter, okay, the same government that has pleaded that we do not have money. So please, bear with us. Even though our matters have been lingering for a long time, now we got the news that the government has approved 4 billion naira for the ARD doctors. Okay,
the 4 billion, is it only for the ARD? I thought it was because they said health workers.
No. That's for ARD, 4 billion specific.
Okay.
It was after that approval, because we were taking our cool, because the government on the 8th promised that within a week, but because we want to be on the safe side, not to come and then be answering questions from our members. We now, when I was addressing, I said, within 2 weeks, we expect that the alert will make bangam. That should be recorded. So, we were waiting for that COVID special allowances to be paid, and then we got this news of government approving 4 billion for ARD. And you can imagine how what the pressure would be on us, the leaders of JOHESU. And this is not the first time. And that's why the pressure is high. So, to your question, whether we are warming up to do something or not, I tell you, even as the leadership has not started thinking of it, the members are really ready at it. Members are really, really, really angry. because it's not the first time. Last year, we had issues, and same way last year when the government will say no money, the same government approved 3.5 billion, another 1.5 billion, and then this one now 4 billion.
For ARD?
Yes. For people, you know, a family that is together in an environment, you keep telling one, there's no money. Bear with us. Bear with us. And then you keep approving, you know, periodically for one. Remember, since 2018, when we embarked on the strike, 2018 April, when people said, oh, maybe because we are striking, that's why we didn't get it. If we are members, some of them say, okay, maybe we can change our side. Let's not strike again and see. And for 2 years, we have not embarked on any strike. And the things that government agreed to do with the agreement we entered 2017 has not been implemented.
Okay.
Before then, 2014, issues were there. And then government has kept, you know, government kept punishing our members with no work, no pay. And today, as I speak with you, April, May of our 2018 strike is still withheld. Whereas the same government, again, would not punish other sectors, sectors when they embark on strike. So our people and us are asking, is it that the no work, no pay is specifically designed for JOHESU members? If not, why? But again, let me give some good news. On the 8th, when we met, the government has also changed its tone on that. And they promised us, it's one of the things they said we will do after COVID-19, that they are going to pay the April and May and all other salaries withheld, FMC Owerri, Jute, Loot, and everything, which of course was heartwarming news that we gave to our people, and they were happy. And that, okay, maybe truly government does not have the money to deal with it now. But then this bombshell came.
Former Dr. Jerry Oguzie, former president, National Association of Resident Doctors, you also wrote a letter, but a public letter. Can you, based on your experience, if we go through the letter, it's deep, you know, on. So can you give us a summary of what you said, your position, and the recommendations you've made?
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, I woke up that morning because the previous night I heard that the Minister of Health announced on television that doctors on strike should either go back to work or be sacked. And the
register was open.
And the register
that 12 noon should be closed. Anybody that has not is assumed has
not to have come to work. You know, so I mean, that's a pathway that most ministers have trod that have not paid any dividend. So I wrote the letter in my personal capacity as a medical doctor, as an elder, and as a past president of NAD. I didn't write because somebody asked me to write. I didn't write on behalf of anybody. I wrote on behalf of myself and my family. And it was very simple. Like I said, it was unsolicited for advice by the minister. But I told him that the office I was occupying is both government. He's a medical doctor too, and also a professional. And in government, whatever you're doing, you must try to err on the side of the majority, on the side of the people. Because when that office is over, he will go back to the people. And at once I remember what he did in office and what he didn't do in office. So that was why I wrote that letter. And I gave a simple advice that please, whatever it is, call the doctors together, look for elders that can come and have a chat with them. Then find out why they're on strike. Because like he said here, government will always wait. You will give notices, you will enter into discussions, you find ways to fight whatever is coming, they will always wait until that pronouncement is made. They're not suddenly helter-skelter looking for who to blame. And in this situation, I'm quite aware that NAD gave a number of notices before eventually calling on that strike. And in the course of that strike, people are telling lies all over the place. Why would you be in a country where government or ministers cannot say the truth and save the people? My Bible says,
and so many people intervened, but the then Senate president The then Senate President now pleaded with us and that we should come, and he wants to hear what is happening. As people who respect authorities, we went there. To cut that long story short, because he may not have the whole time, he now asked us, what is the problem? And we told him how it has happened. He said, and you have come down to 16.5? We said, yes. He said, okay, give me a little time. Let me talk to the minister. So he went upstairs, spoke with the then minister, and he came back.
And the current minister was the Minister of State.
State, yes. He came back, and then he told us, he said, see, I have talked to the minister. He has agreed that he would want to up the 6.5. He would want to up it to 8.25. That is 50% of what we have. And that if we will agree to that, and he's pleading that we should accept that, if we will agree to that, that he is going to use his own position, which is, distinguished senators and the National Assembly, that they are going to make the next effort by including the balance in a supplementary budget. And that was a time, and we were convinced that yes, they will be able to do it, because that was the time they were trying to get the supplementary budget for the Tucano jets and all those extra military equipment and apparatus that they wanted to use. So he gave us that firm assurance that he's going to do the balance in that way. Then we now only ask, okay, thank you, sir. If that is the case, the mandate we got from our members was that until they get the alert, we should not call off or suspend the action. Now that you have brought something lively to the table, we will agree with you. But you two, we are giving you one condition. Go tell the minister to pay the April salary with their very selective no work, no pay. Let him also pay the May salaries that they have withheld. Then we can use that as an alert, at least coming in, and then we will call out the strike. The Senate President went upstairs again because he can't speak to the minister in our presence. We waited again. He went, and after talking, we were not there. He came down and then said yes, that the minister that the minister has agreed to pay, but he said the April is ready and that it will be paid because we have done all the workings before the strike started. That will be released immediately. But that in May will wait because we were on strike, and so nobody to keep the things going. So when we resume, that May will be paid. We say okay, fine. But as I speak with you, till date as we are talking, that has not been paid. That is specific. That is specific.
It's okay.
Then other specific issues are like the adjustment of the COES. Even when we went to the ARD, the government sponsored one somewhere again to settle JOHESU specific.
Let's look. You also mentioned the budget supplementary, and there has been a review of the budget, though it has not been sent to the president for assent and that. Have you taken a look at the budget, that some of these demands that you have been captured in that budget? They reviewed budget that will be presented to the president, so that we don't go back to, okay, it's not captured in the budget, you have to wait for 2020, 2021, 2022, and all of that. It's not there. And I said the whole story is a long story, but I don't want to really bother you a lot before. Even in 2018, before we went on strike, we signed the agreement 30th September 2017. That agreement was to be fulfilled in 5 weeks. 5 weeks came and went, nothing was done. It wasn't done. Then in November, we reminded the government. And in December, the Minister of Labour invited us and briefed us the extent they have reached. And that, it has to be provided, even if it comes out now, it has to be provided for. So, okay, fine. Now, the Ministry of Health defended their budget in February 2018. And before 2018, we were telling them, include this if you are serious about it. That's for 2019.
For 2018.
Okay.
2017, the agreement was signed. We pleaded that it should be included in 2018.
Yeah.
But the minister, in his own wisdom, and the ministry, because they said that at that time, the ministry was headed in a way that the head of hospital services then was saying that, hey, forget about JOHESU, that I have a red card in my pocket.
What does that mean?
Later, we were told that the red card is no work, no pay.
Okay.
Which they use.
All right. We have joining us. We will allow the former president to also speak more. But we have joining us now the current vice president of the National Association of Resident Doctors, Julian Ojebo. She's joining us via Skype to give us an update on the strike that has just been suspended. Do we have her now?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Vice President, Association of Resident Doctors.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Congratulations for calling off the strike.
The congratulations should go to the good people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria,
Exactly.
who decided to intervene at this very point in time when we did embark on an industrial action.
Okay. Can you give us a highlight on what the agreement or the resolutions you've arrived at with the governors, because that has been the major issue now that we've had since yesterday. You have an agreement with the governors now to handle the demands or the issues affecting your members at the state hospitals.
Yeah, currently we are in talks with the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, His Excellency Dr. John Kayode Fayemi. He has decided to wade into the actions. We have a couple of states that have been erring with the provision of the personal protective equipment, welfare of our members in the state. Some of our members have been owed between 18 and 48 months, like in the state of Abia State. We also have states like Kaduna State that had to cut our salaries of our members by 25%. We also do have states like Gombe State that is not paying the corrected CONMES of 2019. We also do have states like Kogi State that's also not paying the corrected CONMES, and it's no longer news, the current happenings in Kogi State. We have been in talks with our members with regards to the management of COVID-19 in their states, and it's been a terrible one. So we had to have a broader prospect, a broader discussion with the chairman of the Governors Forum. Although we know he's just first amongst his equals, but we believe in advocacy, and we've reached out to the Governors Forum, hoping and we praying that they will in turn reach out to us and let's put this perennial issue to rest.
Okay, can you just take your phone, your device a little away from your face, because it's very close. Exactly. I think it's much better now. Take it up a little so that we can have your forehead. Yeah, I think it's much better. Yeah. Okay. That's better. I can see you. I can even recognize you when we meet on the road now. Okay. So you've mentioned specific states here, and that you are hopeful that the issues will be resolved moving forward. We also know that NCDC has been deploying personal protective equipment that we've seen the pictures of how they've been sending it to the states and federal medical centers across the country. But this still has been an issue for your association. Is it that as they are getting to the states, they are not being given to the doctors and the other health workers to use?
We all know that the use of personal protective equipment are non-reusable devices. So we keep using them in their number as our members keep seeing these patients. So our plea has always been that we want them in their number. We want them to always keep providing them so that our members can go into the field and actually battle this COVID-19 pandemic. We also know that COVID-19 is not the only infectious disease we do have currently in Nigeria. We also do have the Lassa fever that's also plaguing our community, as it were. So we keep insisting that these personal protective equipment should be provided in numbers, not just a one-time provision, because once you provide them, they're going to be utilized. Once they are utilized, they will need to be restocked. so that our members and other healthcare workers can also have use of them when they need to use them.
Okay. Back to the governor's issue. Does it mean that Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, has given a commitment that he's going to reach out to the governors of Kogi, the governors of Abia, the governors of Kaduna and Gombe that you have mentioned to address the issues of your members in their respective states?
Yes, there's some level of commitment. The president will also be meeting with the Nigeria's Governors Forum. They will be having a meeting on Wednesday, and the president will be in that meeting. I think it's going to be a teleconferencing meeting to also put into perspective these individual states and the real figures of the real-time values of these problems will now be discussed in detail to every governor at that fora. And through advocacy, we are hoping and praying that the erring governors will do the needful. We also have states like Ogun State, we have states like Lagos State, we have states like Nasarawa State not complying to all of these demands. So it's a broader view, a broader perspective where we can interface with these governors and make them understand our plight.
Okay, that is the states. The federal government, have you received your own alert? Because the government said they've released the money for the COVID allowance and the hazard and all of that. Have you received your own alert?
Now, let me try to quickly debunk the information on the media that resident doctors were paid 4 billion. That's not true.
Okay.
Hazard and inducement allowances for COVID have been paid to all healthcare workers. At this very time, only 12 centers have been paid. Only 12 of our members have reached out to us and said 12 of their centers have been paid these monies. So we still have other institutions that have not been paid. And we're hoping that with this, our good faith to the federal government, those other centers, they will commence payments by Monday. So it is not as though resident doctors were paid 4 billion. No, that is not true.
Okay.
The 4 billion was paid as inducement allowances for all healthcare workers.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Residency program. There's supposed to be also residency allowance. Has that been paid?
Now, the Medical Residency Training Act was enacted into law in 2017, but the counterpart funding for the Residency Training Act has not been put into the budget. We only achieved that through the help of the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, who, with the help of his other colleagues, did put the funding into the budget.
Okay.
Now, we are waiting for the presidency to assent the signature of the budget so that it can be gazetted, and then we hope that once it's gazetted, the funding will be released and our members will be paid appropriately.
Okay, we heard the strike has been suspended, not called off.
Yes,
are there any implications? Is there a time frame as to when this suspension?
Now, the National Executive Council deemed it fit for the total indefinite action to be suspended for a period of 4 weeks till the end of July, where we shall be reconvening again to assess the state of things that we have at the moment. Negotiations will be ongoing with various federal and state government officials. Also, we will be reassessing the state of our state tertiary health institutions and also our federal tertiary health institutions. We shall be reassessing in a period of 4 weeks to give them time, because they've been crying they needed time. So we're giving them a period of 4 weeks to actually do all the things they need to do. And then by the end of 4 weeks, we shall be resuming our meeting to reassess the level of implementation thus far.
All right, thank you very much. The Vice President, National Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Ojebo, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah, we've heard him. Dr. Oguze, we've heard him. He has raised a lot of issues. The strike has been suspended till the end of July. That's what I wanted to hear. Till the end of July. So we have a grace period of 4 weeks, to do the needful. Else, we'll go back to where we yes. So from your experience and what you've seen, and how do you think we can fix this so that we don't have to, not just because there is a COVID, that we don't have to interrupt, because basically health, education, these are the fundamental things, priorities of a government: health, education, food, shelter, and all of that the government should pay attention. So how do we put an end to it? Because you said when you were a president, you also went on strike. These ones have also gone on strike. How do we avoid a reoccurrence of this with the resident doctors?
Yeah, thank you very much. Just like I mentioned at the beginning, as NAT president, we were given a strike by the NAC of NAT. And in those days, it was because of shortfall in personnel emolument. Doctors were being, in fact, like UNT was being owed 10 months salary without payment.
Which is what he has also mentioned a number of
I'm
places.
just saying what made us go on strike out there.
Yes.
And with all the efforts we made that time, with the minister then and the government then, fell on deaf ears until that strike was called. And for 7 weeks, we were on that strike. 7 weeks.
Almost 2 months.
I even lost a relative in the course of that strike. But at the end of the day, the same issues have still been bedeviling the health sector. Why? Because we never learn from history. That's why they say history keeps repeating itself, because men never learn from history. What do we need to do in the health sector to ensure that doctors, nurses, pharmacists don't go on strike any longer, or whatever name the combination is called? By appropriately positioning these health professionals where and how they are supposed to be. We complain of brain drain. Why? Because doctors in Nigeria don't have the appropriate facility to work with. They are not empowered. They are not encouraged. You can imagine a doctor, a surgeon working under torchlight in a government hospital, because the government hospital is not able to have
a standby generator.
Or even if it has one, it has broken down, it can't repair it. And people are not being short-sighted in going about having alternative source of fuel, of power. When the sun is there, lavishing.
Renewable energy.
Yes. And there's much you can actually do for the people. He's always wanted to please the master that, calls the tune. But if there's a general, he is the go-between the government minister and the workers. He understands the workers better than anybody else can understand.
But is the NMA pushing for a constitutional amendment to include it? Well, I know there was, just like the Solicitor General, there was also that the Office of the Surgeon General should be made a constitutional matter with specifications as to who is even qualified to hold that office.
I am sure the NMA president is working on that. I'm sure at the appropriate time he's going to address us on that. But that is one thing that the NMA should actually go for right now, because that is what will help us to stop these strikes and these rivalry in the health sector. You can, my friend here says, okay, JOHESU, they have issues ranging from 2012 and all that. These are all things that we need to address, so that every professional knows where he is and where what he's supposed to be doing. There ought to be no rivalry in the health sector if things are appropriately placed. There ought to be no rivalry. It's supposed to be a team. Exactly. We're supposed to be oiling each other's wheels for the sake of the patient, not for our sakes. But at the end of the day, what do we have? It's always about us, me, I, you, not about who we are asked to work for.
All right, Chairman.
Yeah.
We had the Health Bill now that talked about 1% or 2% of the budget. Health Act. Is that being implemented?
I think, to the best of my knowledge, it was just this, the 9th Assembly also, or is it the 8th?
The 8th Assembly, the Saraki Assembly.
That gave life to it. Yeah. But I'm not sure if it has gone into actual dispensing of the Naira and Kobo, as it could be.
But is this not what the JOHESU NMA Resident Doctor Association, is it not what you should also be fighting for? So that we always know that there is money to meet some of these needs, these demands that you
That
have.
has been a common ground for us. Even if, yeah, we have a lot of common grounds, but I know that we also have ground. From the document from the government, at least they listed about 75 institutions. Okay, and even as we went through this paper after they issued it to us the following day, we went through it. Out of the 75, there are still some omissions. So I think 31 is not yet even half of
the 75.
Of the 75. And if we are looking at 12 billion to pay for the 2 months, 4.5 is not still yet up to half of. So I believe that even up to half of the people have not been paid. But there is another gray area. If you read paragraph 1A of the agreement we signed 21st April, it reads, the federal government agrees to shelve the payment of the existing hazard allowance of 5,000 being paid across board to health workers. In its place, a special COVID-19 hazard allowance and inducement allowance of 50% of the consolidated basic salary is to be paid to all workers, workers in all federal government teaching hospitals and federal medical centers and our designated COVID-19 centers and primary health care centers to last for the first 3 months in the first instance. Now, there is a D. It went on to say 10% considered basic salary would be paid to non-core medical professionals working in health sector and operating as aforementioned hospitals through clinics as special allowance for the COVID-19 period 3 months first. Now this 10%, I knew it would be misinterpreted. So I had to engage the Minister of Labor myself. I said, I hope this 10% here will not be misinterpreted. Because each tone and the one at A are different. A is very clear.
50%.
Yeah, for all.
Oh.
That we are earning 5,000. And 5,000 hazard allowance was paid to everybody.
Uniformly.
Yeah, uniformly before. Now, making it the percentage is an issue, but that is not the issue for today.
Okay.
Now, if you say you are now replacing what you are paying to A, B, and C with something, it means that what you are bringing in is to replace what A, B, and C were earning. So I went to tell the minister, I said that 10%, I pretended as if I don't know what it is, but I said, Minister, sir, does it mean the 10%? If we are looking at 10%, those, you know, at the lower rung of the pay chart, the cleaners, the maybe drivers and other people, level 1 now, their basic is 30,000. And 10% of 30,000 is 3,000 naira. Does it mean you want to now underpay them? You want to pay them below what they were earning before COVID? When you say you are encouraging them to work hard. He said, no. Josiah, you are misunderstanding it. That 10% is for those who have not been earning the 5,000 at all.
Okay.
Who are in the health system, who are non-health workers. I said, okay. I now, again, still argued for that. I said, no, there is no one that is not earning 5,000 before now. He said, no, Josiah, you don't get you didn't make a research. That he called some key officers in the Federal Ministry of Health, that they confirmed that there are people who are not on congregants. I know that. Those we understand to be non-health workers are those who are posted from the main pool of the civil service into the health institutions, maybe for one or two reasons, for some special services they needed to do, that they are bringing in from the core civil service. They can be posted into the Ministry of Health and be posted out. They are not employees of the Ministry of Health, neither are they employees of any of the health institutions. What we know as health worker general is everybody from the cleaner and the security at the gate to the CMD, they are all health workers. If we want to now make some specific identification, then we say health professionals and
Non-health.
health professionals. Then within the health professionals, there is also this somewhat argument of clinicians and non-clinicians, all that. But then, generally, health workers, just like every organization, if you go to the university and you say you are taking the nominal role of the university staff, who are the university workers, it is from the porters up to the VC. If you go to the army, and that is why when we went on strike, and you say you want to implement no work, no pay, you also seize their salaries. Okay? Now, that is why as hospitals are open, they are not at home. They are also going to work as health workers. They are also part of the social services in the health system. They are there. But our matter is this. If the government had come to say, oh, this thing is...
Have formally announced suspension of their one-week-old strike for a period of 4 weeks, after which they will decide on whether to call it off completely if the issues have been resolved. That is it. COVID-19 Watch on Africa Independent Television. I am TV Tiab. Like we always say, stay safe.